to try to understand better whether there's an upward swing, the percentages. And so we'd love to begin that conversation today about how are the children, and how we can support the children into health, wellness, and recovery. And so with that in mind, we also wanted to start sharing more about some of the great work that's happening in the center so that you all can share with each other, learn from each other, and maybe steal shamelessly from each other to support children. And so that's what we're starting today. Also, as we've talked about, we wanted to just have more opportunities for peer-to-peer sharing for the network to support you all. And we'll end this conversation today with kind of some next steps of whatever we've heard. You might have ideas for how we might want to go forward to advance the support for children. So I wanted to just start off with introductions and Paul Dernberger, whom you all know, will be facilitating a conversation with Dawn Morris of Sacramento, Tracy Theodore of Orange County, and Jenny Fitzgerald, who have graciously offered to kick off the discussion by highlighting some of the work in those three centers. And then we'll give them time to talk, have a couple questions for each, and then we'll go into about 25 minutes of discussion amongst ourselves. Everybody, just, your reaction to their work, but also any ideas that you have from your own work. So let me then pass it to start just a quick round robin of introductions, and I'll start with Alexis. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning. My name is Alexis Wilbur. I'm the program manager for the San Joaquin County Family Justice Center.
Okay, great. Dawn, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Dawn Morris. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist at the Sacramento Regional Family Justice Center. And I lead the Haven of Hope Child Therapy program here.
Great. And Lisa?
Hi, good morning. Lisa Mantero Moore with the Stanislaus Family Justice Center. I'm the executive director here in Modesto, and I participate on the network on our advocacy committee as well. Thank you.
Good morning, Faith. Thanks for joining. Hi. Do you want to go next?
Hi, Faith Whitmore from the Sacramento Family Justice Center.
Great. Stephanie?
Good morning, Stephanie Mullen, Associate Director at Strength United, and also have the pleasure of working with Lisa in the legislative committee in the network.
Great. Hi, good morning, Jenny. Thanks for jumping in here. You want to say hello?
Hi, Jenny Fitzgerald. I'm with the Strength United Family Justice Center in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And hi, Laura.
Hi, my name is Laura Rouser-Ish. I am the Office Technician Coordinator here at the San Joaquin County Family Justice Center.
Thank you. Welcome. Hi, Carla.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carla, and I'm the Executive Director for the Alameda County Family Justice Center in Oakland, California.
Nice to see you. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, good morning. I'm Veronica, and I'm the Program Coordinator for the Monterey County Family Justice Center.
And Lizette.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Lizette Estrada here in Santa Clara County with the North County Family Justice Center.
Hi, Adriana.
Hi, good morning. Adriana Moreno, Chief Executive Officer for the Safe Family Justice Centers in Riverside County. I also serve on the collaborative committee for the network.
Okay, we're saving Los Angeles for last but not least. Carol, hi.
Hi, good morning. Carol Perez, City of Los Angeles Mayor's Office of Public Safety, Director of DV Programs and Central Family Justice Center.
It's nice to see you, Carol. And oh, Mike Jump has just jumped in, just in the nick of time. So we'll let Mike Jump say hello. Hi, Mike. You're
Hi, all. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, say hello and introduce yourself.
I'm Mike Jump. I'm Chief Deputy with the DA's office in the County of Ventura and the Executive Director of our Family Justice Centers in Ventura County.
Great. So with everyone's permission, I think we'd like to record this session just for our own internal use. Is that okay? I don't think I have the record button here. Susan.
I started recording it already. Sorry.
Beautiful.
And
Okay.
by the way, I'm Susan Kim. I'm the director of
Susan.
the Contra Casa and Solana Family Justice Centers, also a member of the executive committee, and nice to see you all.
Yeah, she needs no introduction, so I didn't call on her, but thank you, Suzanne. I wanted to make a couple quick announcements, again, on behalf of the executive team, that we're meeting, we're gonna have a quarterly meeting in person in San Diego at the California Alliance Conference. So let us know, we will be sending out information on that in the next week or so, and so we hope to see you all there. And another big announcement is that we have our Advocacy Day date confirmed. Please hold the date for June 3rd, Monday, June 3rd, one day. We will be sending you information. The advocacy team is going to start meeting and putting that together. It'll be a day of fun and excitement in person at the Capitol. So we would love it if you can come. We know that you may not have budget for your partners and whatnot this year, but we'll work on that next year to expand. But please extend the invitation to anyone who you know in your world of partners who may want to come to Sacramento for June 3rd, and we'll get a save the date out with more information next week. Okay. Without further ado, let's go to how are we supporting children, and I'll pass it to Paul.
Okay, thank you, Erin. Thank you for the updates and thank you for getting us started. The executive team, when we talked about peer-to-peers, we never have, I don't think we've ever done a peer-to-peer that specifically really talked about services for children, which is what we were hoping to do today. And I'm hoping that we at least leave with a couple of things. One is, especially if you're a new family justice center or one that is still developing, that you have some ideas for proposals that you can go to whoever it is in your county or city, because everybody does it differently. We had a nice talk with Carol just a few days ago, and as I said to Carol knows LA. We don't know LA. She knows what's going to work and who she has to go through and how she can get things done. So this is an idea of getting ideas for proposals that you can talk to for the people that are going to be the decision makers in your community. Well, I remember when we started the Family Justice Center in Sacramento, the idea of having services for children sounded great, but really it took a lot of people getting together and a lot of tips from the Alliance to get ideas as to what those programs should be and how we should go about getting it. So the other idea is just to share information. How do different family justice centers focus on the children that come through the doors, and what programs do you have available, and how is it working? So we're going to start off today with Dawn Morris, who I've had the pleasure to know for many years. She's our child therapist case manager at the Haven for Hope. And maybe Dawn, I mean, I can give your title, but I'd like you to kind of explain it more, what exactly Haven of Hope is.
Yeah, Haven of Hope is a child and family therapy program. I am a licensed therapist. I've been licensed since 2018. We serve in this program kids that are they can be as young as 3, and the oldest we've met with is 18. And we serve the kids by having individual therapy with the kids. I've been the primary therapist, but starting last year, we were able to hire another therapist, and then we have 2 interns now. So it's growing. And so that is a little bit of the program, but I can explain more of how it's structured if you'd like, and what the kids' needs are. Unless you have more questions for me, I can talk.
You know, I would love you to talk. And if you could kind of talk about the kinds of kids that are coming into the Family Justice Center in Sacramento, what kinds of issues and trauma are you seeing? And what has you and your team found is the best ways that Sacramento, at least with the resources we have been able to meet their needs?
Sure. So the kids have many types of traumas. A lot of them, most of them, or primary amount of them, have been exposed to domestic violence trauma. But we also have kids coming in that have had sexual abuse. that have been abused themselves. A lot of them have, a couple of them I'm working with right now actually are family members of homicide. They're victims of homicide. Well, not, they're family members of victims of homicide. So those cases are pretty intense. A lot of them have lost, either been separated from their primary caregivers, or they have been deceased. So those are the main kids that we are working with right now, and have been working with actually over the past 3 years. I've noticed that sexual abuse cases have arisen, and so we're getting a lot of referrals for very little ones too that have been exposed to sexual abuse. So those are a lot of our heavy cases as well. And I just want to say real quick how we kind of started here. So I started working here in 2017, and we talked about, Faith, Joyce, and I talked about for a few years how we could start a therapy program here. And I was licensed in 2018. And so that's when we really started talking about it, because I was licensed. So we applied for a grant with Cal OES, and we got approved. And so in January of 2021, that's when we started. So we actually, if we talk about numbers, the grant required me to see 60 clients. So that first year I saw over about 60 clients. That was me just as the primary therapist. The next year I saw about 75 clients. And then last year we saw about 130 clients. So it jumped significantly, and that's because we had other staff too. So, and what this looks like is, you know, we have about 13 sessions, 14 sessions total with the kids. So instead of just like sometimes like drop-ins, some people will see clients that come in and out for case management or crisis intervention one time. These children get seen, well, we do a screening, then we do an intake session, we do assessment, and then we do a clinical formulation, we do a client plan, and then we have either 10 to 12 therapy sessions with those clients. So while some numbers seem higher in some different programs, here we're actually seeing those clients for probably about 13 or 14 sessions total. So, and I think someone was asking about the approaches that we use and the needs that the kids have. So a lot of the approaches we use are very, it's a myriad of approaches, because the kids come in and they've been very traumatized. And so we want to try to, you can't really fit one model or a couple models for, you know, children that have so many different challenges. And so their basic needs really are just having a safe place to come and play, express themselves, where they're building a relationship, where it's like a reparative relationship because they haven't had that in their lives. And so that's the approaches we always work with are strength-based, client-centered, and solution-focused usually, because we don't have that many sessions with them, and most definitely trauma-focused. So, and trauma-informed. We're, and I know we throw that phrase around a lot, and I just want to kind of share, because this is what's on my heart the most, is what that looks like for me, and to try to, I'm a supervisor now, so I'm supervising interns. So to try to help my interns kind of understand what trauma-informed really is, it's kind of living and breathing, you know, non-judgment and compassion for these kids. So when a child's coming in and their behaviors and their emotions seem very severe, and they can be, you know, scary, especially, I know they were for me as a new therapist, and they are for a lot of the therapists when they're first starting out. It's really important to see those children, looking at them, their whole experience, what they're going through now, what they've been exposed to, and not judge them or label them as bad. And so I think so many systems so many systems see children this way. And instead, I want me and my team to see our kids with compassion and just be able to, not have that judgment, even when we're scared, because sometimes they come in with pretty serious symptoms. And so, yeah, my favorite part of this program here is the collaboration we have between the Camp Hope and the therapy program for children. And so because we've been able to really become a team and form a team in that way, we see a lot of patterns with the kids, because I'll refer some kids to the Camp Hope program that have built some trust with me. And then the Camp Hope team will refer kids to me that have built trust with them. And so I really feel like we have this kind of family for kids here. In fact, one of our clients said that. They said, one of the caregivers said that he wanted to come in because he misses his family. And it was just really cool to hear him saying that. But I think what it gives us a unique, we can see patterns that these kids are experiencing. And so we were able to develop between me and the Camp Hope team 3 teen groups. One was healthy relationships, and that was encouraged by Faith and Joyce too. We were talking about healthy relationships for teens for a long time. And then we did a music teen group, and we've also had a grief group for teens. So that's been really my funnest time with kids with the kids I'm working with, is just to be with them in these small, intimate groups where they're realizing these kids are going through the same things as they are. So yeah, so that's a little bit about us. If you have any questions or anything, anybody can explain more.
Okay.
Dawn, I just want to say one thing, having observed Dawn's work through these years, it's made such a significant difference in the lives of these kids. When when we first see them come in, if I happen to be there or whatever, and they're so shy or depressed or no eye contact or whatever, to see them at the end of 13 or 14 sessions, responding and giving big hugs and just feeling it qualitatively different. So I thank Dawn so much for the work she's doing and has done. And just if any of the others don't have this program, I can say that it makes a world of difference in the lives of the kids and also their families. So thank you, Dawn, for everything.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to get to work with kids in this way. It's amazing.
I do have a question for you, Dawn.
Sure.
How do you get your referrals? Is that coming from navigators directly, or?
Most of it is from, we call them case managers, but yes, navigators. Here they're the case managers, the social workers. I would say probably 75 to 80% of them are that. We also get referrals from our partners a lot. Now we're word of mouth. So I feel like we've been here for a little bit, that when clients have a good experience, they tell other family members or friends. So that's really getting out there now, because I think we're getting a little bit more, we're more well known. And then when families have success, they tell other families. And also the website, a lot of them say they find the information on social media or the website. And so they're given my direct number usually. And then the navigators our case managers usually put each person on a waiting list, and then we do a screening. And that's how I do the screening, or my other therapists do the screening. And that's how we get the process started.
Okay. I just wondered if you had any screening criteria, or the case managers have any screening criteria, because if we were to do that in Ventura County, I could see, 1, 2, 3 therapists quickly getting overrun by all of the demand.
Yes, that's a good question. We do have a screening, we have screening criteria. We look at, first and foremost, I think the biggest issue we have with eligibility sometimes is who has custody. Who has custody of the children? Because on our site, the respondents, the perpetrators can't really be on site here at our victim agency. And so, but if both parents have 50-50 custody, then that really isn't going to work here at the Family Justice Center, because that person then will have the right to come to services, which makes sense, you know, if they have the rights and they're with the children. It makes sense that they would have a right to be in services, and so that's probably the only thing that really makes families ineligible. But we look at also, you know, are their symptoms so severe that a 10 to 12 therapy session process wouldn't meet their needs. And so when we do this screening, we're always ready to refer out and to other agencies that may be better prepared to have longer sessions with the families, or I wouldn't say more intense, because I think they get pretty intense. They can get pretty intense here, but just maybe for longer periods of time, especially, or even if they're so safe that they may need hospitalization. So we're looking for those kind of things. So, but we have like a 6-point screening that's just really kind of gathering information too for them. But those are that's the main criteria that would, you know, have us have to refer out to other places.
Thank you, Don.
Susan had her hand raised. Okay, Adriana?
Yes, thank you, Don. You mentioned you were kind of answering my question that I was going to ask in terms of the number of sessions that are provided to the children. You mentioned you average about 14, and that was my follow-up question, that you, like, if there's more need, like, what's the process, what's the response on that, and that you are able to refer out. Over here in Riverside County, it's very limited. We do work with a couple of them, but we did experience some of those challenges that but it was both sides, some that needed more and some that only needed a couple, maybe 5 or 6, and they would not return, or would return maybe a year after. So we ran into that challenge, and how do we, and then we collaborate with the agency that refers out, and then we have these sessions on hold if they need them, but then our grants are moving forward, and then we got into this whole complex screen sheet of how many do we have left, how many do we don't, how many do we provide. Any recommendations on how to best set up kind of those within the period time limits of grants, on how to best approach that? Is it just an average based on the region, or it's just kind of whatever the need is?
I mean, so just for best practice, therapeutic practices, I have to say that we will see clients for longer if needed. So if they're in crisis, we're not going to transition them. So all the times when they graduate from us, they're not in crisis. So just to be clear on that. So I've actually met with some clients for, I think the longest is an actual, you know, a year, but that's not the norm. Yeah, I think that I'm not sure how to answer the question exactly. I know what you're saying the problem is, and we have that same problem or challenge, I should say. So I'm just always trying to make sure that the kids are not left without support. And that's the most important thing. And especially if they get started with us. And so that's the ethical thing that I'm always thinking about. But I also have to know that we have a scope and we have limited therapists here. And there's like, some of them have Medi-Cal, which I know that I was trained in at Turning Point, which is the county mental health here in Sacramento. And they have 25 therapists, and they're able to sometimes meet with clients for so much longer. So I know that there's a lot of programs in our community, And I just have to be honest with the families and talk to them through the process and let them know that, these are other really great agencies and you'll be in good hands here. But then continue to have constantly conversations with the parents and the clients about, what transition is going to look like. I think you maybe were asking a bigger system question. I'm not sure how to answer that question, but that's how we navigate with our families here with limited staff. So I'm not sure if that quite answered your question.
No, it did. It did, Dawn, for sure. I think that's the premise for us too, that as long as there is a resource available, we will provide it, either us, a referral, another partner, definitely out there. But this past year, there was a significant increase in the need and we ran out of funds. So we had to be very creative. Yeah. Thank you.
And Dawn, could you talk a little bit more about the transition from your therapy to we call our camping program the CATCH program. If you could explain, how that works on a monthly basis and how that supports not just the kids, but also the parents.
Yeah, if there's children that seem like it would be a really good fit for camp, I think like there are some families that aren't eligible for therapy, especially, and like we were talking about some of the clients that maybe might have some custody issues and just different things going on. So we talk often, and I will go just to the coordinator, which is Odalis now, and she's a great coordinator. And then we just talk, and she calls the families. I talk to the families a lot about what the program's about ahead of time, so I'm kind of front loading and letting them know how amazing it is. And I'm talking to the caregivers, because the caregivers are often a little bit scared, especially when their kids are young, about the idea, especially of the kids going to camp and leaving, because they haven't really had that separation. And so I just talk very highly and encourage them that it's about the kind of experience they're going to have. And then our coordinator follows up with them with a lot of good information, more information than I can give them. But I think the important thing is just once you've developed that trust with the family, they know that you're not going to put them, refer them somewhere where they wouldn't be helped or supported. And so I think that's the building blocks of everything, that where these kids and families can grow and access more services, is that, they are building the relationship with me, or they're building the relationship with Camp Hope team. And then they can trust that there's going to be a good support and a good program and activity for the kids and growth, hopefully.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. So, well, thank you, Dawn. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
I'm going to switch now to Tracy Theodore, Empowerment and Violence Prevention Programs for Children, Teens, and Parents from Orange County Family Justice Center. Tracy.
Tracy just joined us. Welcome, Tracy. Thank you.
Hey there, how are you?
Perfect timing.
Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me. I apologize for joining late.
Not a problem. If you could just kind of give us an overview of the programs that you have that are focused on children and teens,
Sure.
and how you integrate them into the other programs you have.
Sure. So we have 3 kind of core empowerment and violence prevention programs. They start with our children's programming. It's called Kids Creating Change. It's a 10-week program. All of the programs we were helped by UCI to develop the curriculum, and they've been revised over the years by a number of different resources, including continuing to be UCI among them. But it's a 10-week program for both our children, teens, and parents. The kids is called Kids Creating Change, and it focuses on empowerment and self-esteem and boundaries and healthy relationships, violence prevention, of course. and, you know, age appropriate curriculum that helps kind of build the child's kind of internal core and healthy emotional kind of base, right? So for the kiddos, it's what does schoolyard bullying look like? How do you talk to mom and dad when you're angry, when you're sad, you know, these types of issues. So it's, we teach the programs here at the center on Tuesday afternoons. They're 2 hours in duration, and you know they go on for 10 weeks. And so we do an evaluation at the beginning, and we do an evaluation at the end to see kind of where, you know, how effective they were, what kind of impact they had. The real magic, I think, is when we can have all 3 programs going at the same time simultaneously, right? So the kiddos are getting the information and having the conversations, and then the parents are also doing the same thing at the same time. So then they can go home and talk about it. But you know, they often have projects and activities and an occasional field trip. But we do find that when we have kids creating change, and then the teen program is called Real Teens, Real Talk. You know, the basis is the same. It's self-esteem, empowerment, violence prevention. For the teens, it's healthy relationships. It's boundaries, dealing with stress. And then for the parents, it's the whole gamut, right? It's all those issues, but on a more mature level. It's how to parent after there's been violence in the home, right? Are they overparenting? Are they underparenting? You know, what does that look like? And working through those issues. And so we do them here at the center on Wednesday afternoons, but we also do them in schools. We do them in community centers. We do them in the Boys and Girls Club, all sorts of churches, you know, any place there's an interest or a need, we'll do them. We also partner with Project Access and Jamboree Housing, which are income restricted communities, and part of their communities is having programming for the residents. And so often they have a community resource center, and so we can teach our programs there as well. So it has worked out really well. And so, you know, they kind of ebb and flow in terms of the locations, et cetera, but they've been a really great core program for us. And from those 3 core programs, we've built all sorts of ancillary programs. Now we have a number of different parenting groups that have come from those, because it seems like the folks that participate, the children included, you know, they have a good time as well as get good information. So they repeat, right? And so we had to kind of build onto the original core programs with other classes and programs to keep the kids and families engaged. We have a dance program now for the teens that they love. And so a teen ambassador program. So once they've done the 10-week program, there's a much more involved and longer program. It's about 8 months for the teens once they get through the first program that they can participate in, and then they get hours for, you know, volunteer hours for school and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a great way for the community also to learn about the center and for families to come through the center. It's been a great tool in terms of that as well.
Okay, I know I'm supposed to like ask everybody else if you have questions, but I have a question. I want to do my question first.
Okay.
I get to. Okay, the dance program. What is that about, and how does that done, and what kind of dancing? And I'm very interested in that.
How does that fit in? So, you know, for us, it's trying to create a space that keeps the kiddos involved in doing productive things. And so we have this really amazing volunteer. She's a vocalist and a choreographer. And so we bill it as a dance program. They meet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons. It starts in September and it goes all the way until the summer. And so it's Motown and Brat Packy type music. It's all, you know, clean, uplifting. The Temptations are blaring through my wall 3 days a week. The kids love it. And Lisa Kazakos, who leads that program, weaves self-esteem and great, you know, information, self-esteem and self-confidence. And it's an opportunity. It culminates with a big performance at a local park. We rent this outdoor amphitheater, and the kiddos put on a lip sync show with all the dance moves they've learned over the course of those months. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for those kids to get on stage and to, you know, find their power and their sense of self. And so it's turned into a really great program for us, and the kiddos really love it. And from that, we've actually had kiddos that have gone on to be, you know, explorers in the Anaheim Police Department and go on to the fire department, you know, junior program, et cetera. So it's been a good path for some of our kiddos, and the kids just love it. So it's fun.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Is that something you were able to get? Did you apply for a grant, or how did you find funding for that?
Yeah, we bootstrapped it from the beginning, really. I mean, we have a pretty big conference room here. And so for the first 10 years, it was in the we clear out the tables and chairs in the conference room, and she'd bring her portable, music equipment and do it in the conference room. And then about 2 years ago, we had a donor that saw the benefit of the program and helped us convert one of our bigger offices into a real dance studio. So through a donation, and that particular foundation continues to support the program. Yeah, and then for the event that culminates in the summer, we sell tickets. They're $15. It's not really a fundraiser, but the money goes back into the program. So there's a little kitty for the program for costumes and whatnot. So it's pretty self-sustaining at this point.
Well, that's fantastic. Is the choreographer a volunteer?
Yes, she volunteers. Yeah, she completely volunteers her time. Very dedicated.
Wow,
really lucky.
Does anybody else have any questions you'd like to ask?
Oh, my hand has been raised for the last 10 minutes, Paul. I've been patiently waiting.
Hi, Susan.
Tracy, I love what you just shared. First of all, I was so inspired, and thank you. I have 3 questions. One is about your staffing.
Yes.
Kind of what Paul was trying to ask as well. So I'd like to know how many people actually working on your 3 programs. Second, you mentioned your curriculum from UCI. So I would love to learn more about it, whether it's evidence-based or, just a bit more background, whether you could share it. And third is your enrollment, because we've had some children's programs here on site, either academic support or extracurricular activities like theater clubs. And enrollment has been a bit of an issue for our children. So if you could address those 3 questions.
Yes, sure. So staffing, in terms of our programs, we have 3 educators that teach the programs. So we train the educators. One of the educators has been with us from the very beginning. She teaches the parenting programs. The parenting programs here are at this point only taught in Spanish. Our kiddos and our teens are taught in both English and Spanish. And so there are basically 3 educators that teach the programs. And then I have a program director that kind of oversees that team, as well as finding locations and coordinating with all the various sites that we do it off site here from the Family Justice Center. In terms of the curriculum, we have had a good relationship with the University of California in Irvine, and through their psychology department, there's a professor over there, Professor Ray Navaco, that has helped us over the years initially develop it, and then has helped kind of with his grad students, helped us kind of tweak it and utilize surveys and whatnot, and continue to help it evolve as issues have. We've also leaned on other organizations like the Search Institute. There's lots of great curriculum out there, honestly. And so we're getting ready to do a review of our curriculum now, because we've started leaning back onto some curriculum that we've used in the past. And so we're kind of, often blending curriculums that we've had over time. And so it's always a work in progress, honestly. And schools will tell us, well, you're not, we also need, this piece that's really coming up in the school system. So now we're, trying to address some of, things evolve constantly for our kiddos, for sure. And then what was the third question?
Yeah, enrollment. How do you encourage
enrollment? Yeah. Yes. Well, so it's different on the location. So here at the center, all of our educators are in the community and have a lot of, we really rely on them in terms of their community that they know and their own network. And so they bring in a lot of folks themselves, and just through word of mouth and their own network. And then when it comes to the schools and the community centers, both city community centers as well as kind of the apartment community centers, it's really just the folks at those sites kind of recruit for the programs typically. And they're usually pretty fun. So, usually they grow, but it does ebb and flow, honestly, for us too. Sometimes we may have a kiddo class that has 5 kids in it, and then we'll have one that has 20. So it just, it depends on the site and the time. Yeah, it's hit or miss for sure.
Thank you. I just want to add one comment, which is that we have been offering Parenting Matters curriculum, which was developed by the CDC, Center for Center for Disease Control, and they have this program called Dating Matters, and it's free. Just go to the website. Anyone can train to be facilitators. All of the documents and materials are free.
That's great.
CDC, programs, and then there's a companion program for the parents called Parenting Matters, and it's 6-week classes. I just want to offer it to you all in case, some of these programs are great, but you have to pay for it. But this was in the CDC website and it's free.
Free curriculum. Oh, the other thing that I would say too, just to add, is that especially for the parents, I think the curriculum is really important for sure, but also there's something about creating a safe space for folks to share their experiences and their collective energy, and I think that's almost as important as the actual curriculum that's presented sometimes for the parents. I think really having a sense of community and other people are going through this and what their experience has been, and how they've resolved these things, I think has really been really important too. So I think just creating the space sometimes is for the parents anyway. The kids really need, I think, structure. The parents, I think it's more community based is important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Tracy?
Tracy, this is Diane. I'm from the San Diego area. Do you have your participants in the dance program just sign waivers, or how do you deal with the liability and the risk? I know that's always a huge issue for us.
We do. We have a packet that they all have to fill out that has liability waivers and releases and all sorts of information for them to be aware of before they start the program. So for all the programs, children, teens, and parenting, they're all in the dance program. They all have to sign the waivers. Mm-hmm.
They have to put up your dance program. Do they have to put up insurance or anything like that in case anything happens?
We have insurance. Yeah, I mean, we have insurance that covers all the activities that we support for sure. Yeah. Yep. And then obviously it changes depending on where we're doing. Some sites have different requirements, so we have to add riders onto our insurance occasionally for various sites. For the Motown show, for example, we have to add a big piece on for covering that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone? Going once, going twice? Yeah. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're doing wonderful work. I
Thank you.
Appreciate what you guys do every day. Okay, we will move on to Jenny Fitzgerald. Jenny is an LCSW, a multidisciplinary partnership with Strength United. I think she worked with Stephanie Mullen, who I've known for years and have much respect for. So if Jenny, you could break down for us what your programs are at Strength United, that'd be great.
Thank you, Paul. And it's so exciting to hear what other folks are doing. We have so many programs at Strength United. We are blessed to be a CSUN supported organization that came out of the marriage and family therapy program at CSUN. So primarily we provide mental health services to children as well as families. And because we are co-located with our forensic nurses and our forensic interviewers, we're also a nationally accredited child advocacy center. And we work as part of a SART center as well. So we've really integrated all of the multidisciplinary approaches to responding to interpersonal violence, which means that in particular with our kind of FJC programming, we're able to support children immediately, just as we are the caregiver when they're coming in for services related to domestic violence. So in terms of forensic services, we prioritize forensic interviews for children who are also witnesses to crimes. We do sexual assault exams and interviews as well, but we really work with our DV detectives to get them to start to think a little bit outside of their box in terms of the children exposed to violence, right? So they're not always thinking of those little ones as witnesses. And so we're able to get them in and have them have a specialized forensic interview, right? That's then recorded. Because of that, minimizing additional trauma to the kid, because the idea is that then they have fewer additional interviews, because all the information is obtained at once. And then we're able to link those kids and families directly to our mental health services, which are integrated here at our center. And within that, we also, because of our advocacy programming, so we have DART advocates, and we also have advocates who are here on site responding during the day for those families who are coming in for interviews, who will stay with the case. So we right now are servicing a case. It's 2 child witnesses and survivors of homicide. They were 4 and 6 at the time. And this was in, let's see, it's been a while but I can do it based on when my kids were born. So this has been 2021. This happened, and we saw the 2 little girls and their mom for therapy services. As we all know, the criminal justice system chugs along at a slow pace. So those 3 at the time completed a full course of treatment with us. And just this past year, came back for some more treatment because they were, as they were aging, being better able to speak about what happened, and moving through the criminal justice process. So they received additional therapeutic services last year. And actually next week, court is coming up. And so our advocate, who's been with the case from the beginning, is able to support mom and the kids. We're hoping that the kids don't end up testifying, but if they do, our advocate will be able to support them in that and be with them in court, when they do so. So that, I would say is the piece of our work in terms of supporting children that is most exciting and unique, is really that integration of services, rather than thinking about our child abuse services and our sexual assault services and our domestic violence services as siloed even from each other. The way that all those events often co-occur within families, and able to serve the whole family as a unit when they come in. Stephanie, how did I do?
Jenny, you are the best. And I apologize because I'm not working within Strength United on a daily basis. Are we also still serving foster children and going into the home?
Yeah, we do have it's it's a DCFS, which is our LA County Child Protective Services. That's how it's branded here. Funded program called Family Preservation. So we get referrals directly from DCFS to go into the home and provide supportive mental health services for families who are going through open DCFS cases. So the idea is to promote either family reunification, but ideally like keeping the family together from the get. And a lot of times those are cases where there was an instance of domestic violence, and the children are in the home with the non-offending caregiver. So supporting the family and the kids through that. And that also uses, for all of our mental health programs, we have grant funding for our licensed folks and our supervisors, but most of our mental health providers are trainees in the MFT program at CSUN. So that relationship with CSUN is really essential in terms of the ability for us, the reach that we have, I would say, within our community.
And for everybody that's on the call, if you're not sure what CSUN is,
Oh, sorry.
Right?
It's just California State University, Northridge.
Right.
I was thinking about my acronyms. And that's the one that I forgot.
I have to say that I am, when you're talking about your services and your advocate that has been there for 3 years during the criminal system, I did child abuse cases as a prosecutor for almost 5 years. And there were times when I just depended on those advocates that were with those kids, because you don't, as a prosecutor, have the ability to spend the time or really even have the knowledge of how to do it well when you're dealing with the kids. There's such a short time that you have with the children. And I still am like in your debt. I cannot tell you how much it still means to me this day watching the advocates work with the kids I worked with. There were times as a prosecutor, I don't know about others, but I always wondered, there were times when I'd say, am I doing more harm than good by putting this case on and having to put these children through this? But the advocates were just miracle workers in my mind. And I'm doing that. I am not worthy. I can't remember what the movie is, but I've always felt that way. So thank you for what you do every day.
I would say one thing that we found really effective, again, because we are lucky to have kind of a deep bench of advocates, is when we're working with a family, because a lot of times the DA's office has their own advocates, right? But it'll be one advocate who's responsible for all these cases. So they're running up and down and in LA, they're trying to cover all these cases, make sure people have tissues. Sometimes that's basically all that they can do because they're trying to reach so many people. Because we have additional resources available, if there is a family, right? So if we know that the kids are going to testify and mom is going to be there, we'll try to staff that case with 2 advocates so that mom can have her own advocate and the kids can have their own advocate, so that the kids don't have to be worrying about how's mom doing, and mom can know that someone else is there to support her kids. And we found that really changes things, to be able to kind of divvy up the players in a way to make sure people are getting their own personalized care in those situations.
And if I could get from you, because when we were creating the Sacramento Family Justice Center, I actually saw Strength United as the model I was aiming at, because you were so connected with Northridge, and the resources that they gave you were, in my mind, more secure than going to a city council or a county board of supervisors every year and asking for money, But if you could give us in just general numbers, I'm not asking for an accurate count, but how many advocates and people do you have working on your children program, if you know?
Oh, well, so we have, not counting our DART advocates, if you want to just think about like children's programming, we have 5 full-time advocates. But those advocates also serve adults. So I would say we have 2 fully funded FTEs exclusively for children. But because we have additional advocates who are funded to serve adults, we can cross-allocate them in a way that we're able to adapt to what the needs are. That answer your question?
Yes, and do you also have like a training program through Cal Northridge?
We do. We also have a volunteer advocate program. So because as a SART center, we are responsible for 24/7 response for sexual assault exams. And so we have volunteers, many of whom come from are students at CSUN, who we train as sexual assault advocates, who are like our deeper bench to help with that 24-hour response.
Great, thank you. All right.
And we also just this is just like bragging, but it's so exciting. Our partners at Dignity Health, who are our forensic nurses and forensic examiners, were able to get a donor to build a mock courtroom. So we now have a mock courtroom in our facility that we're really excited about. We're developing protocols and policies around it, but my hope is to bring in there's a program from San Diego called Kids and Teens in Court on preparing children for court testimony. So to incorporate that into our programming with children who are having to testify.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Okay, I'll open it up. Does anyone have any questions?
Jenny? Hi.
Hi.
So your advocates and you have mental health therapists too. Those are two separate or things, right? Programs. And then how many mental health therapists do you have? And then I just have one follow-up question.
Staff, we probably have probably about 7 therapists.
Okay.
But then we have we have the MFT trainees. So we have, we always have like between, I would say like 10 and 15 trainees.
That's awesome. So I know that it sounds like there's so much integration in your agency with criminal justice matters. I'm wondering what kind of policies there are that are established for mental health therapists, as what, a lot of the clients that come to us, they're in the process also of criminal court hearings or family court hearings. And I know that we bump up a lot against confidentiality and privilege issues for sure, but because you're like families and parents wanting us to, speak in court on behalf of the child and those kind of things. How do you talk to the families about, or how do your mental health therapists talk to the families about that? How, because there are ethically some things that we're not able to do as far as testify in court with privilege. I'm just wondering if there's a conversation that ever goes on between the advocates and the other staff and the mental health therapists about those issues.
I don't know that we've had a lot of requests for that. I would say too, having everyone co-located, I do think can be confusing for clients in terms of that piece, because when clients walk in here, they see us all working together. They're not differentiating who's working for what agency, besides, of course, law enforcement, right? And so I think sometimes it can be frustrating for clients when there isn't information sharing. And that can be confusing to them. And so I would say it really starts with our advocates in terms of having a conversation around an assurance that when they start therapy, what happens in therapy is confidential and stays separate, and it's separate from what's happening with the advocate and with the criminal justice process. So I think that starting at that juncture really helps. And just showing, like, we sometimes will have coordinate, for example, if we know that a child is in therapy and is going to be testifying, we'll try to coordinate when they're already coming in for therapy to have the advocate meet with them for the preparation for court. And so having maybe like one session where the therapist and the advocate are together with the whole family so that they can both speak to what their roles are and what information is shared and what isn't. That's been helpful in the past as well.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. But we don't have, even like generally we don't have, sometimes they'll want their therapist to go accompany them to court, which we can do. My preference is always for it to be the advocate because of those issues that you're bringing up. But our therapists have also participated in the Kids and Teens in Court program. Which helps as well because it speaks to preparing children for testimony without any discussion of the content of the testimony.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. It's helpful.
Okay, anyone else? It looks like we're done with the questions. Okay, I want to thank, first of all, Jenny, Tracy, and Dawn for your time today. I know everybody obviously is busy, but thank you for taking the time for not just being here today, but also preparing a little bit for your discussion. Very, very helpful. I appreciate all three of you. What we're talking about doing now is having a little bit of an open discussion and sharing, and maybe just go around the Zoom wheel here and having everybody talk about, what programs they have at their center that are focused on families. When I did the first training, when I was introduced to family justice centers, the thing I really liked the most about it was that it didn't say domestic violence victim. It didn't say, it said family. To me, the idea that you're focused on everything that's going to be important to somebody that's going through that kind of violence is important. And I know personally, I've had so many parents tell me what a burden it was off of their shoulders to know that their kids were getting help. So it's something that we're doing. Yes, we're doing it for children. Yes, we're doing it to stop the cycle of violence, but we're also relieving a lot of stress and trauma for the parents that have been involved in a violent situation. So if we could now open the discussion, we'll talk with, I'll start with you, Susan, since you're up in my top corner. Give us your ideas and approaches of what you're doing in your 75 centers that you're now running.
Just for now. I'd like to thank our presenters today for sharing their information. And like Sacramento, we have OES Child Abuse Counseling Grant. That's OES AT grant. I don't know how many of our family justice centers have that. I think it's really a great fit. But it's gonna be on the chopping block because of the VOCA funding situation. So maybe at the end of today's meeting, Mike, if you could just talk about that letter that you shared with us, because I think VOCA funds are so critical and vital to our work in the future. So yeah, I mean, we do have the Child Abuse Counseling Grant, and like Sacramento shared, we have a long wait list. It's very unfortunate. What we have found is that children need longer, more sessions. So with our adults, we could do mainly brief therapy for a lot of our adult clients, up to 6 sessions. But for children, what we have learned is that they need 20, 30 sessions sometimes because you have to do play therapy. So yeah, so that's that. And then we've been trying to do academic support through our Success Academy, but we've had low enrollment. I've shared with you all about our Dating Matters, Parenting Matters curriculum. I would really encourage you to check it out. We have our own camp Camp Family Justice because we didn't want to do Camp Hope for different reasons. So we found a local partnership with Camp. And I think the main thing we are trying to do is to improve or enhance our navigation. So when we have our clients come in, we talk to their questions and needs, and then we try to have a conversation about their children's needs, because about 70% of our clients have minor children. But how do you have that conversation? And I have found that that's been actually a little difficult for some of our navigators, because some of our clients feel a little defensive when you start asking them about their children's needs. Some of them have had some bad experiences with CPS in the past, so they're a bit more reluctant. Some of them say, hey, my children are fine, they don't need anything. So that's kind of the issue that we've been grappling with and trying to learn how to best have conversations with our clients about their children's needs, and then connecting those children to services. So that's what we have been working on for the past 2 years. We call it Navigation 2.0 or Enhanced Navigation, really focusing on the needs of children. So that's in the works, and we'll share with you if we develop anything worthwhile. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Lisa, could you give us a couple of minutes on what you're doing in Stanislaus?
Well, we're really excited here in Stanislaus County as we're getting ready for our Camp Hope program. And in our case, for the first time ever, we get to utilize our Camp Hope new facility at Camp Taylor, which is a cardiac kids camp newly located in Stanislaus County. So for us, this is really exciting. We're able to take our kiddos on a more localized program within an hour's drive of our location instead of several hours. So throw that out there for all you Northern California, Central Valley folks. If you're interested in what we're working on there, I'd be happy to share that. In addition, we're working with our family engagement program, which we started kind of during COVID as an experience to get our families back into the center on a more regular basis during difficult times. And honestly, it's really turned out to be a really wonderful program where our families can connect with each other and be able to have the kids connect with our art therapy, and then the parents connect separately. And it's just really worked out in a very comfortable setting. It's kind of like a date night for the family, if you will. So we're really excited to be able to kick that off this past year. And for 2024, I have some new staff additions here. So we're just really happy to be getting our families back into the center, because the COVID experience really took our work all over the place. And so nice to bring bodies back into the center. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I was going to ask Diane if you have, I saw you looking down. I hope you're, if you.
I'm taking notes.
Oh, good. Okay. I am too, actually. I'm taking a bunch of them. Could you give us a little bit of a synopsis of what San Diego's programs are?
Sure. Yes. Everyone's information has been so informational and helpful. So thank you. So I'm going to go in no particular order because I'm just kind of looking at a list of some of our services. So sorry if I'm not as organized as the rest of the other presenters. So we try to really focus with our children on their well-being. And so we have some specialized programming, we call it cultural partnerships, where we're really thinking about kind of the wholeness and the well-being of the child outside of the trauma that they're experiencing. So for example, we have a relationship with our local Balboa Park where we can provide free museum passes. We have a relationship with a local art museum where we can give them tickets to the museum. So we do things like that. We have a relationship with a local agency that provides books to our children. So we have them just around the center where kids can just help themselves. And then we do 3 annual events every year really focused on children, where in each of those events we'll give out like the books and the tickets, the baseball tickets with our local Padres baseball agency. So for example, we do a backpack drive in August. I know many of you do these same types of things. We do a Halloween drive and we do a holiday event in December. So at all of those, we give out those cultural kind of well-being items that we get from our various partners. We too are members of Camp Hope. And so our Camp Hope, I don't know if this is true for all locations, but we have weekend events as well as the regular week camp. So in fact, Dustin was just here on site yesterday. So we do those referrals to them. We have a couple different counseling modalities going. And this was a question I actually had in listening just recently to you. I'd love to hear people's feedback. So we have individual counseling specific for children, those counselors only work with children. And then we brought in a couple years ago during COVID therapy dogs to really focus on teenagers who don't want to, sit down. I've got 2 teenagers and they don't want to sit down and talk to me, right? They don't want to talk to adults, but they'll kind of cuddle on the floor and, the counselor's kind of an afterthought over there, and that has worked really well. And then we have partnered with some local high schools where we do what we call mobile clinics, where we go out to the high schools and we do these clinical therapeutic type classes, much like you were talking about earlier, where we're talking about boundaries and healthy relationships. And we've done that both with our therapist who does with the therapy dogs, and then our counselors who do our individual counseling. So we've done that in different ways. One of the concerns and I'll come back to our services in just a minute, but because we're talking about counseling, I would love to hear some feedback from all of you. So our counselors have typically back-billed our California Victim Compensations Board, but that's their funding. That's how we get that service here. And we have really found that since COVID, that the applications for counseling reimbursement have been really hurt. They're canceling them. They're not canceling, they're denying them on a much higher level. And so I was wondering if you all are seeing that, and if you are, what you're doing about it, if you are appealing those denials, or what you're doing there, because we're working on it right now, where we're having conversations with CalVCB, like, why did you deny this child? Why did you reject this family? And it's been a real struggle for us. So I was just curious on other people's experiences, and then I'll go back to the rest of our programming.
We're just going to say that none of our referrals at this time come from there. So, but I know that I've received a lot of calls about the particulars about certain applications. But I don't think as a therapist I've done that because confidentiality issues, but when I was doing more case management, which we would call navigators, I know that a few years ago, there's just a lot of particulars that the applications have to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually seems a lot, like it seems kind of insignificant, but I realize that I think one of the issues was one of our clients, actually their child was murdered, and that was the application that she was doing. And instead she was trying to get funding because her child was killed by the perpetrator, but it didn't have enough information about DV on the application. So I just think there's a lot of issues that they're looking at because they probably have to, meet, they're in demand like we are. And so, but we don't get referrals from them, from CalVCB usually, because we don't accept, their insurance. But I have seen some pushback on a lot of the applications historically.
Thank you, Dawn. How are the rest of you supporting or paying, I guess, frankly, your counselors to provide the services to your clients? Is it grant funded or?
So Diane, some of the family justice centers are trauma recovery centers.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that we should talk about among the network members.
And the AT grant as well.
Yeah, and the AT grant is for the child abuse counseling grant, and then trauma recovery center is a really big program. Alameda, I don't know, you still have it, right? Alameda has it, and then we have it.
Yeah, we were the first FJC to have a trauma recovery center, and I say this at every director's meeting. Every single FJC should be a trauma recovery center. There is funding there. They're going outside of California. There is, Susan heard me. She applied. She got it. So is one of our partners has the funding, and there's gonna be, it's every year for application. So it's worth it to look at it. It's through CalVCB.
We applied, Carla. We'll see.
And I think in addition, we need to lobby for the continuation and expansion of this funding, because we just got a cut I think Northridge CSUN also is a TRC.
Yeah, we have TRC and we have AT, and then we also get some we have Cal OES RC funding, which yeah, so for the sexual abuse stuff, we're able to go through there. And we have Casey for the Child Advocacy Center. We're just taking all the Cal OES money.
Well, thank you. That's helpful.
Well, we also started doing because we through all those funders, it's a short term, right? Like AT is probably the most wiggle room in terms of extending services, but everything else like TRC, it's at 16 sessions. SA stuff is 12 sessions. So we actually started doing some sliding scale stuff for folks who want to extend. So if you know, and that's like it's like starting at like $5. So if you wanted to ever talk about that, we could help.
And for the TRC, there's a loophole. So there's also people, even if people qualify for a VOC, as long as someone qualifies for a VOC application, even though it's the same funder, they can do the 40 sessions through VOC and then the 16 sessions to TRC as long as it's not the same clinician.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Let me call you guys. Thank you.
Oh, Carla, that's a nice loophole.
Hey, we gotta
also,
be creative.
in terms of the VOC stuff, I've found that it really also depends on your advocate who's doing the application. Like, so having an advocate who's really well versed in what will get accepted and what won't can be helpful. Like I've had advocates because it's also like I've had a case be rejected because they were in the care of like a step parent, the step parent wanted services, and because it wasn't a bio parent, they didn't qualify. But so little things like that, if the person knows, if you can find an advocate like with the DA's office who does a lot of them and so knows what gets kicked back.
Yeah. It's just been interesting because our counselors have been doing this for us for 20 years and the pushback we're getting is like none ever in our history. So it's a challenge. So thank you for all that feedback. So just jumping back quickly, I know we're running short on time. You know, all of our services are available for our children, but in addition to kind of what I was talking about, we have been doing some things with children, like where we also will go out into the community more than having the clients come here, just because of our location is a little bit challenging to get to after school, where we do a lot of education for parents, for teens, etc. I will echo what Suzanne said, that sometimes getting the families there, getting the children there can be a challenge. It's almost like you have to have a bribe, like we just did a poster contest for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And, we offered a $100 Target gift card to kind of get children and teens to participate. We have a life coach that will also work with youth about trying to make life decisions like education, college, things like that. And then one of our newer programs here is we are also doing the forensic interviews for children. We've always had the forensic interviews for like the SARTs, the Daffys, and for anyone 12 and up, but we just started really doing a partnership with Rady Children's where we're doing those forensic interviews here. And so we too are developing that relationship really about escorting the children to court when they need to testify, escorting them through the program that we have here, getting children ready to testify in a court, because as we all know, that can be really, really scary. We also have things that are fun, again, going back to that wellness programming for the kids. We've got cooking classes. We have a partner with an agency that will provide art classes. One of the things I'd love to do is more of that dancing, like that programming, the yoga, things like that. We're part of a city entity and we have tons and tons of red tape when it comes to that type of stuff, which is why I was asking about your waivers and insurance. One of the things that we do, which I'd love to share with all of you, for every child that comes in here for a forensic interview, we give them a comfort cub. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those. They're the weighted cubs, and it's something that children can take home with them, and it's just something that they can hold and cuddle. And we just had 2 siblings here last week, and they each left with one, and they did not let go of those things. And it's an agency here. We've got some grant funding for it. I think each of them's like $20 or something, $25. And it's just a nice little thing for the children to kind of have and hold. We also have weighted blankets that the kids can take. So just little things like that is what we have really found. Again, just really trying to support these children. So there's some ideas for some of you.
Thank you. I saw Elena's for a second there. I don't know if you're available, Elena, or you want to talk.
It's okay, we're getting close to time, Paul, just to check.
Okay. You want me to wrap it up? If anybody has anything that you know they would want to share now, raise your hand. Now's the time, and then we can jump to our.
And also put in the chat if there's anything you'd like us to follow up on from this conversation.
Oh, Mike.
As we're wrapping up, I just wanted to follow up on Susan's comment about AB 1956. Since this VOCA cut is going to be pretty disastrous for many of us, all of these pieces of legislation that keep coming out that we can jump on and support that will help backfill those cuts, I think are important for us to do. AB 1956 probably, and I don't want to be a downer, but it's got a big hill to climb with this current state budget. But I still think that it's worth supporting for all of us and lending our voices to it. CPEDV is organizing a kind of a legislative day to focus on that topic at the end of April. Valor, I think, is joining in that effort. CDAA is, that's the California District Attorneys Association, is also starting to ramp up on this issue. And your very own California Family Justice Network is diving in to support those efforts as well. There's going to be other bills that come out that we think are going to be probably better long-term approaches to this, because we all recognize that DC is dysfunctional, and relying on this in the long term probably isn't smart. We need to come up with backup A, B, and C plans to help support what we're doing and all the progress we've made. So stay tuned for additional kind of check-ins on this VOCA issue. And that's all I really wanted to say. We'll likely, Aaron, I think I had sent out to the executive committee a sample draft letter that our district attorney wrote in support of AB 1956, and happy to share that. I know from the comments that Stephanie also produced one from her FJC. So just put that out there for everybody to use and to kind of weigh in and lend your voices to this. I also just wanted to say, this is one of the most fabulous network webinars I think we've had in terms of all of the resources that we have available, and that we, really need to keep our network strong to talk and exchange these ideas and resources. So I just appreciate all of you, all of the presenters. I've got, like everybody else here, probably, you can't see it, but it's a page full of notes and my scribbles of follow-ups I want to follow up with. So thank you for that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about next steps then. Susan, Aaron, I'll take over.
No, I think Mike actually closed this meeting really well. So thank you, Mike. And I think the only thing is, if you haven't signed the MOU for the California Family Justice Network, it's also called Sub-Award Agreement. Please sign it and send it my way. That way we could continue to support this strong network. And then we'll all meet in San Diego without me, but Erin and the executive committee will take care of you all. And we are getting our own room again on Tuesday, the first day of the network, the first day of the conference on Tuesday. We'll all get together in person and have more conversations around advocacy. And then June 3rd, Erin, yes, please put it on your calendar now and start thinking about whom you want to invite. You will be getting more information this week from Erin. And also, we were hoping to share with you our network under construction, but we are on time. So Erin, I don't know if we have time for that. And yeah. Adriana, I see her hand. So yeah, Adriana.
Thank you, Susan. Just wanted to see if we could get the information for that in-person meeting on the 23rd. I do have a conflict on the following day, so I just want to make sure that I'm available to head out there for that meeting in person.
And then save the date for November 15th. Our meeting will be in person in Ventura County.
Great.
Love to show you all the best fish tacos in town.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. We're at time. I'm gonna give you a quick sneak preview of a website that we're doing. We decided, because we don't have budget for a big website, to just transfer over from our advocacy day last year. And that is close to being finished. I'm gonna just give you one quick sneak preview and share my screen, and you can, it'll look very familiar to you because we just transferring over the advocacy day. But we will have a kind of a summary of the network, an interactive map with all of you here, folks can browse. And we will have also members, all of your websites and whatnot there. I know that there's been some changes. And so we're just changing a little bit. We've got kind of about the network, the vision, the history, the leadership, and then our advocacy day. All of the advocacy day information is here, and we will be having a training and tools to our conversation. Previously, we'll have the videos for training up there, and as we move to having more of a training certification, this will be the central place for that. And I see that Adriana's hand is up, and I will, so stay tuned. When it's finalized and everything's perfect, which is almost close, we will be sending this out live, and you all can start using and sharing and liking our website. Adriana?
Thank you, Erin. Just wanted to confirm the time for that meeting on the 23rd, if you already have it.
I don't yet have it. Susan, do you have that?
No, we'll send an email out. We don't have the time yet.
But it probably will be in the morning. Usually it's in the morning, right?
Probably
it was
in the
lunch. Yeah.
I think it's around gonna be around lunchtime, but I will reconfirm today.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. If you have any thoughts